Mad ethnic right now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tripl3 T. My podcast is about life stories, advice, and popular topics for young adults. During today's episode, we are going to have some special guests talk about some terrible dates they went on. I cannot wait to hear about these dates gone wrong. Let's get started. So I'm sitting here with my mom and dad. Okay, who's going first?
I didn't think of mine yet.
Okay, so you're going first?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, tell us your story.
Which story you want to hear?
Oh, man. Worst date you ever went on?
It could have been with your mother. Let me see.
What? That was a good date.
Worst date being when I went out on a double date with Dave Morgan. And the girls were ordering pork, and I was Muslim. And they thought we were going to all order pork and liquor. And it just went haywire. The whole date went haywire. Yeah, it really did. I forgot about that time. And it almost got into like a real massive argument over the meal and everything else.
Oh my God.
Yeah, never went out with those girls again. Never went out again.
We'll give more details.
Well, it was really simple. It was like they came in and we were ordering food. They want to order all this pork, and I was like, "Who's paying for that stuff?" And and it was like really crazy. And yeah, they didn't drink it, and we didn't drink, and it was just like.
You didn't drink it?
Okay,
I can tell another story because I had some.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So I was dating. I was going on a date with Lydia, and she came over, and I had plans, and she wanted to change the plans after I had plans, and I said, I already put money down. I'm not doing that. And she just became belligerent, started yelling and cursing, and I had to remove her from the premises. Physically, by shoving her out the door. And that was the worst date that I was gonna go on that didn't go on. So I had to call someone else up and go on that date with me. So I still went out, but went with her.
You had it like that?
Oh yeah, big time.
People on call?
Oh, big time.
Crazy.
Speed dial.
Oh my
Crazy.
God.
I can't do a text back, but he got people on call.
I know, right?
Shoot, I used to go out 3 different women a day almost.
Told you.
That's the truth. Podcast, drop the mic, bam.
Okay, so now, Mom, what's your story?
So my first interesting date was with my husband. I had already met him the end of 1 year, and then we made a date. I had to go to his house though, so he gave me the address. I get there, and he lives in like an apartment building, but their bell isn't working, and it's like not good lighting, so I'm already having a heart attack. And so I'm ringing all these bells to get in, and finally someone lets me in, and I go in to go up the stairs to his apartment, and his mom says he's not there, and I'm like, okay. So she's like, you can go in to his bedroom and wait if you want. So I'm like, she didn't say go into his bedroom. She just said you could go back there. And I go back there and I look up and I see this sign that says Lord Kareem's room. And I go, do you mind if I stay up here with you? I don't know what's behind those doors. So then she let me sit in the kitchen with her, and then when he finally came, she was telling him that the landlord was harassing his dad, and so the dad was already downstairs at the landlord's at that point, so the super. So then when she says, stay here, baby, it looks like there's trouble. So she's like, I'll be back. And then they all leave me in the house with this vicious dog that I never saw the dog. The dog I didn't realize was tied to the radiator, but the dog kept barking like endlessly. And I was like, where is that dog? So I literally was looking for weapons in their kitchen. They had these big scissors. I'm like, I got the scissors. And I opened up the refrigerator door to block the doorway while they were gone.
Something wrong with you.
So literally it was so much drama, like just to even start the date, because he left me in there. Just left me in there just waiting for them, knowing that there's craziness going on outside, and trapped me in the house with that dog and no doorbell and just no lighting. It was just scary as ever. I'm like, what am I in for with this guy? So that was like the worst beginning of a date. The rest of the night was cool, but the beginning of the date was very extra.
So I'm here with my friend Sierra, and she's going to tell us her story about the terrible date she was on. Go ahead, Sierra.
Okay, so I'm trying to think. I think this is like junior year of high school. And I was dating this kid named Jerome. And like, we had been dating like, I say like 5-6 months when this happened. But like, my dad didn't want me to like really date people. So like, we were dating, but we've never been like on a real date. Like, he'd always come over my house and like hang out. So there was just one time I convinced my dad to let me like actually go on a date. And you know, Jerome was like, okay, let's go to, I forgot where it was. I think it was like Applebee's. And I was getting off work and I was gonna meet him at Applebee's. And I drove like 30 minutes, right, from work. I was so tired. I drove 30 minutes from work to Applebee's. Actually, I had my mom drive me. She picked me up from work, she took me to Applebee's. I get there, she drops me off, goes home. Home is 20 minutes away. I get there, and not only is it Jerome, it's Jerome and like 7 of his friends. It's like 7 of his friends, and I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, why are all your friends here? And he's like, oh, like, they wanted to go to Applebee's too. And I was like, they're not on this date. And he was like, oh, well, like, they can get another table. And we can sit together. And I was like, no, you just, like, ruined it. So, like, they, first of all, never even put their name on the list. So, like, it was a table for 8. You know how long that wait was? Like, they said, like, hour and a half. So I was like, oh, that's super slow. You know where we ended up going? Wendy's. I made my mom pick me up immediately because I was like, there's no way. You told me we were going on a date, and you were taking me to Wendy's. Like, you didn't even pay for my 4 for 4. So I made my mom come pick me up. She literally didn't even get home. She turned around and came and picked me up. And we broke up after that.
So that was later in the relationship.
Yeah, it was like towards the end. We were actually like, our date was like for us to discuss like all the stuff he had done prior, because he was crazy and we needed to settle some things, but he didn't even give the chance to settle it because he wanted to go to Wendy's. So that was the end of our relationship right there.
Wow. He played himself.
Boys.
Okay, so I'm here in the car with Auntie Frances and Uncle Tony, and Uncle Tony is going to tell us a story of when he went on a terrible date.
Yeah, well, actually, the worst date I had was in Vietnam. I was living in this village called Bien Din Village. And there was this girl in the village, her name was Mai. And after a couple of months, we got to know each other. she invited me over for lunch. And I'd been in Vietnam quite some time, and I thought I'd eaten everything Vietnamese. But she put some stuff in front of me, and to this day, I don't know what it was. And she got mad at me because I wouldn't eat it. And then come to find out she was a VC.
What's a VC? Yeah, what is a VC?
Viet Cong. She was working for the NBA. So she might have been trying to poison me. I don't know. I don't have the slightest idea, but that's the worst date of my whole life. Because I was really in love with her.
You're talking all these acronyms and nobody knows what they mean. What's NBA?
North Vietnamese Army, NBA.
Which was the enemy.
Which was the enemy in Vietnam.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
For making sure that the listeners would understand all of that.
That's crazy.
I don't know to this day, I don't know what happened to her.
It was traumatizing?
Very traumatizing. I mean, what would you do if your boyfriend turned out to be the enemy?
Thank you to all the guests for coming on the first episode of Tripl T, and thank you for all the listeners for your support, and stay tuned for more posts. Thank you.
I know way too many people here right now that I didn't know last year. Who the fuck are y'all? I swear it feels like the last few nights. We've been everywhere and back, but I just can't remember it all. What am I doing? What am I doing? Oh yeah, that's right.